What is going on, YouTube? This is Acid Wires. This is episode 2 of the Guitar Hero 2 playthrough. So in this particular episode, we're going to purchase a song. It's going to get towards that with some of these bonus songs here. So that's kind of the pitch behind it. I'm going to do these bonus songs not at the end of the playthrough like I did previously. They're going to be kind of interspersed with like the standard playthrough, which is going to be a good pitch to kind of get towards that, just to kind of see how the real setting behind this is going to wind up going. But we'll just have to see as to how some of this game turns out. Because the thing about it was, so the concept behind it, this is not a real terrific episode in terms of like standard gameplay skill. I just would have to say I get like more in like the 70%. Is this, when you pay attention to this, there's a lot of mistakes in this particular episode just because of the concept that it's October for one thing, and I know that your question, well, what does that have to do with it? But the concept was the house was cold, so basically the furnace was going to be turned on at the end of this month, and I look after the concept of it was, it's been kind of cold this month in October, so obviously the joints in my hands are cold to the point. If you ever had cold hands like in the winter or something like that, and it just makes it difficult to like, snap your fingers or, you use forks or spoons or something like that. It's just kind of the concept that without heat in the house, it's not to sound like dirt broke and living without heat and that sort of stuff, but just the concept of this not having the furnace on when it's like 40 degrees or 35 degrees or something like that just makes it for like a cold house. It's just kind of the concept that is the pitch behind it. Was trying to, I was kind of underneath the impression with this being the third damn song in this game that they would not have kicked off the difficulty just like that. This is a song that probably should have been like the 18th song or the 17th or the 19th, somewhere in there. Pitches like that, the 21st, something like that, just being able to say. But this is actually steeper a difficulty, especially for medium. Just being able to say, like Guitar Hero 1, the third song was like Smoke on the Water or something, which is a relative cakewalk. So it just feels like the difficulty setting really makes me question if I'm going to be able to beat this game. And I do not want to have to quit this game or just take like an extended vacation, something like that, a hiatus from it just that quickly when I just bought this game and said, hey, I'm going to get this, and then, by that, this would kind of be the concept of just being able to say I would prefer to get further in this game and actually be able to complete this game on top of that, because I do kind of have like the sketches of some games that I want to do after this one. So basically, I think I've said this before, but once I complete this game, I realize there's like over 50 songs in this game, so we've got a while yet, but just being able to say there's some games I kind of have mapped out. Some of these ones, it's not going to be Guitar Hero 3, but there's just going to be some good pitches. I will eventually do that game, but just not quite yet. It's going to be something different, and I'm just going to juggle like 4 or so games approximately with this channel for a while. It's just kind of like a fun pack, you just kind of get like a variety pack of this. You get Rise to Honor at the beginning of the month, Devil May Cry at the middle of the month, Van Helsing kind of interspersed, and then this game kind of interspersed just in the tone behind it. So this is kind of the pitch, but the thing that always alters that concept is just whether or not what it boils down to is just whether or not these games can be beaten. But yeah, long story short, just me talking about that. So it just did not do that terrific because of the cold in the house at the particular time. So it makes for funny. I'm sure if you see this and just realize the concept of like the scramble that kind of went along with it, trying to get these particular ones, but it was kind of ridiculous, this particular mission here. Is kind of the concept behind it. The way that the layering into this particular song was just not that, like, I feel like this one's just a lot steeper one, but we'll just have to see how the rest of the game progresses. So yeah, definitely, once again, if you have some smokage, something like that, it's a good concept, because I do feel like there should be laughs about this, when you watch Jackass or something like that, or one of those type of shows, some of those type bears, Harold and Kumar, some of those type of movies, just to be able to get this kind of concept that, the fun, the humor, the comedy relief has to be there within certain fashion. So it's just a good concept, but it's kind of within the pitch behind it. But yeah, so what was I going to say? Basically, recently I reviewed like the Anarchist album. So back in 2022, Jack the Gold Kick had shown me like a song by the Anarchist, which was the song with Deuce on there, which was Bring It Back. Pretty good song to kind of get that, but I look after it, kind of made me think of like the 2020s, because I realized that now that the 2020s is about halfway over, we kind of look after it. What have been some of like the classic albums like the 2020s? I look after it compared to like the 2010s. I mean, the 2010s definitely had like underground rap really going for it. Like I look after it nowadays and I think of albums that I just didn't know about as much before YouTube Life and pitches like that, talking about, you know, albums by JB like Remember My Name and Life is Offensive and stuff like that. Some of those type of albums, and like Deuce's 9 Lives and Call Me Big Deuce, the mixtape he put out, some of those particular internet-bound products, the stuff that the Millionaires did with like their Your Girl Does Party mixtape, some of those type of ones, and Hobson's mixtapes and products that he put out. It's just kind of a concept that the 2010s was pretty internet-centric, plenty of good products there that just were kind of unexpected for the times compared to like the heavyweights that just, you know, from going from the 90s to the 2000s compared to the 2000s to the 2010s, you know. Obviously, DMX put out some good stuff in the early 2000s. 50 Cent was doing those things. Eminem had his streak of albums. Ludacris definitely did. Folks like that, I would have to say. Jay-Z was doing real well. But it's just kind of the concept that the transit and the conduit between like the 2000s and the 2010s is a little bit different. I look after it, and it's kind of the same thing. There's a lot of slag that's been happening with the 2020s. I mean, I do think that trap music is starting to become more of like a genre, more so than the subgenre, but I just look after it. The only real album I can think that, for the most part, feels like a classic out of these recent times, I really don't know just because I haven't listened to that many albums out of the 2020s. Most of the ones I've attempted to listen to have not really been that terrific, but I want to say that at least from what I've seen from like a critic standpoint would probably be like Tyler the Creator's like Call Me If You Get Lost or something, which is interesting just because Tyler the Creator, I remember him from like the Goblin days and like the Odd Future tape album that he put out in 2012 and Wolf and some of those types of projects. But yeah, he's like a front runner, and I just, you know, I mean, Kendrick has only dropped one album. I mean, you just look after the classics that would be kind of graded towards that has just not been around as much, and this makes me question if we're going to go like, if it's not going to be until like 2027 or 2028, 2029 or something, there's just not going to be any classic albums, because the word classic from like a critic standpoint, and even like in some cases like the YouTube community or the internet community as a whole, the Twitter, Instagram communities, the social media communities, it's just not commonly that they belt out some of these ones that would be seen as classics. Like I want to say, you know, typical songbirds of that, like JID and J. Cole, some of those type of folks, the Dreamville folks. But I it's either the fact that I just haven't been paying attention or just the concept. But long story short, me talking about that is just the fact that I feel like the Anarchist definitely had a pretty good album. It's just a good pitch behind it. Just being able to say, I feel like he could do what folks like JB and Hobson were kind of doing and Dennis were kind of doing like in the 2010s, just being able to get towards some of that. It'd be interesting to kind of see if there could be more folks like that, just trying to find some of these internet bound type folks. This makes me question how many other ones are out there, just the pitch behind it, just trying to find some of these more ones in the trenches, because if like mainstream is not going to do it in the 2020s, I would definitely have to say it's going to have to be the underground that's going to have to do it. But I'm not really seeing that, and there's just not a ton of folks really reviewing music. Everyone is doing reactions right now. It's just kind of the thing. Everyone's kind of doing reactions. You get folks in reacting like Tom McDonald and Eminem and some of those type of folks, just some of that type of stuff. But I just am not really seeing. I mean, it's good to know whether or not a song is wild or not in some fashions, but I just look after it. We're not really getting like the distinguishment of whether or not these albums are good. Is it worth the $18? Is it worth the $23 for the deluxe edition where you get 7 extra songs that may not be that good? I just feel like, you know, apart from like the Needle Drop who reviews all genres, it's just really not folks that kind of consolidate that. So I mean, obviously I do that on my main channel, the music channel, but I look after, I'm not really reviewing the new stuff because I realize I don't want to waste time reviewing something I'm going to give a 2 out of 10. When I could take that time and review something I'm going to give a 10 out of 10 that I can trust and know better. I just feel like the 2010s just has better projects. And it's the same thing with the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s even. Some of those type ones. I mean, I see the occasional hit record out of the 2020s, but this is kind of the concept. It's just kind of here and there. But just food for thought there, just to be able to say that it's just kind of the pitch. But it's the same thing with video games that I had to say about being able to repair themselves, something within that pitch. But yeah, so This is a nice bat. I wonder some of the places that I'm going to perform at in this particular game. I mean, this appears to be a high school or something, just within the pitch behind it, just the initial kind of start off type point. I wonder some of the venues and stuff. I really do think this game could benefit from cutscenes. It's something I know that they could probably do that. If they could make these characters, I think it'd be interesting if they had something, just some sort of plot or something to be able to say, you know, the band gets along this way and, you know, talks to some person, you know, the female lead singer could like appear, be like a model and like you know, Maxim or something like that. It just would be kind of the concept of just being able to see how some of those type of things would kind of happen. You know, the male singers could, you know, do like a promotion or something. I don't know. It'd be something. But yeah, just being able to say. So that's the concept about this. We're going to get to some more of these. Like I said, this is a real laughing stock of a video here, but we'll get to some more of this. Part 3 will be showing up eventually as far as those pitches going to happen. But good pitches here. Subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night and stay tuned to this playlist.